Hey everybody, welcome to Holt Growers. Today it's a gorgeous February day. It's like 60-some degrees out right now, which is awesome. It's wonderful. Behind me are those low tunnels that I've talked about in previous videos. Overall, the cover crop didn't do very well. We're going to see exactly how not well it did today. I'm going to get these low tunnels taken down and start converting these beds. I figured out, did some math, some geometry. It's great. Stay in school, there's a plug for that. Having my beds go north and south instead of east and west underneath the high tunnel that's going to go up here is going to give me about 25% more planting space or bed space. I'll have three 30-inch wide beds and they'll be approximately 22 feet long. Right now I have 4 beds, as you can see behind me. They're 4 foot wide and they're 8 foot long. If you do the geometry, it's about 25% more square footage of bed space going north-south instead of east-west. So I'm going to be converting that before putting in the high tunnel. And today I'm going to do a time lapse for the middle section of this video of me taking down these low tunnels and taking them apart. So that includes the bases, which are 2x6s that I picked up and put in last year. These, well, one of them I put in last year. The other 3 have been there for a couple of years. If I can salvage the 2x6s, great. I will keep them. If I can't, then I will be replacing them with new ones for the perimeter. The actual beds aren't going to be raised inside the tunnel. You'll see that as we actually put on the high tunnel, which will probably not happen today due to daylight. It's still February, so we only have a limited amount of time. But as long as the weather holds off, we will be getting that taken care of pretty quickly. So the 2x6s will stay for the perimeter, but once you get inside the high tunnel, the beds will be level, so they won't be raised beds like they are now. I also figured out that that will save me some bed space and be able to plant more. And ultimately, if I'm planting for commercial purposes for resale, then the more utilized space I can acquire, the better. So stay tuned. I'm going to put it on a time-lapse mode and start taking these apart. It is a little windy out, so you might get a good chuckle as this plastic might not be too friendly and easy to roll up. So if the plastic is salvageable, I'll be keeping that and using it for the high tunnel, laminating it together to make a bigger piece. If it's not salvageable, then, well, it's going to be pitched and I'm going to buy new. So that's the way it works. And thank you for tuning in to Holt Growers without any other delays. I'm going to get this into a time-lapse mode and start taking these apart. So God bless you. Hey everybody, so that was the time lapse on taking down the low tunnels. As you can see behind me, they are down, and if you walk over here with me, that's my house in the background. So they are definitely there. The cover crop came in nicely. It's not near as tall enough to feed the chickens with it like I expected and wanted, but it works. So it kept the weed population at bay, and if you look, you can see where those 2x6s were. It's pretty defined, raised. What I'm going to do now is conclude this video. In another video, I will show how I stake out the area that's going to be the high tunnel and put in the 2x6 border. Once the 2x6 border's in, I will level out these beds and then start forming up my 3 beds. For those of you who have been following me this winter, you'll see that we did plant garlic last fall. We planted winter garlic, and that winter garlic was in bed 2, which is right behind me. And that winter garlic is right here, and it looks pretty good. Nice, growing. We've got some pretty decent stalks going on. So I don't want to disturb them too much or cause any undue stress on those plants, because obviously this spring I want to sell them. So we've got a half a bed here of garlic. There's about 60 or so stalks, individual plants. So it's going to be the last area that I disturb. I'm going to leave it alone for the most part and work around it. I'm still going to get that high tunnel put in and set up my other beds under that tunnel, but where this garlic is sitting is pretty much going to sit until they're ready to harvest. Once they're harvested out, then I will incorporate where this is at in with the other beds. That way I'm not disturbing them or risking losing that crop. So just pointing that out for you guys, for those of you who've been following and checking out the other videos for Holt Growers. As far as the cover crop is concerned, that's going to get all mixed in and covered with a tarp. I'm pretty much going to pull it all and compost it. So it will turn into some wonderful compost. So don't have to worry about that too much. I might go ahead and just turn it right into these beds and then just tarp it without throwing it in the compost bed, and just tarp it while this garlic matures and grows up. That way I can just make the whole beds. I haven't really decided, but that's what's going to happen to it. Is it's going to turn back into dirt. So it's not tall enough. It hasn't went to seed. It's definitely not tall enough to feed the birds, and it hasn't went to seed, which is a good thing, because I don't want it to reseed. That would defeat the purpose. So one thing I am amazed is in these walkways. Just picked up a nail that was on the ground. In the walkways, I had OSB sitting there. That OSB has been sitting there for over 6 months, and there are still some white roots growing, which is amazing, because they haven't had any sun for almost 6 months. That's how pervasive some invasive weeds are. That's how sturdy and stocky they are and hard to get rid of. The tarping is probably going to help with that, along with the temperatures. So the big one that we have is crabgrass, and the second big one that we have is creeping Charlie. I don't want to use any chemicals because I don't want that going into my cash crops. So I'm using some all-natural processes. No sunlight, no plant growth. It's that simple. Just some of these roots are so thick, they have so much stored energy, it's hard to get rid of them. And the roots go down so deep that it's really difficult to dig them up and get rid of them with the whole root, because if any part of the root is left, they'll keep growing. That's what makes them invasive. So hopefully I don't have too much of a problem with them now that I've killed off overwhelming majority of them, and what I have been able to pull, I've been on top of and been pulling. So I'm going to conclude this video. Tune in to the next video, which will show putting in the border and leveling out these beds. So stay tuned for that. I'll also have a time-lapse video on putting up the high tunnel when I get the high tunnel put up. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, and stay tuned. Thank you, as always. Get out, grow something. May God richly bless you, and have a great day.